And what would you say, because there's that piece where people don't feel right about money, and then there's also people who just don't think it can happen for them.
But that's because they haven't had that conversation. They haven't had. If you read my book,
the book.
Actually, that one, you guys, it's really, really funny.
You brought me this great gift, which is The Power of Breath, the gift of self-actualization through meditation, which is right up my alley. So
yeah, but the whole book is about unconditional self-love. That's it. So you never, ever, ever leave yourself, ever. For no reason. You're always supporting yourself, always supporting yourself. There's no reason that you ever leave yourself. So if it doesn't feel right, then you have to figure out what you need, and you really have to take care of yourself.
Hey there, and welcome to Money and You. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. My search for more fulfilling work led me to career and business coaching, where I stumbled upon a game-changing discovery. Money issues often start with our mindset and habits. You see, our relationship with money is the key to overcoming those frustrating financial obstacles. As an entrepreneur, coach, and problem solver, I'm passionate about helping you create a great relationship with money. Because, turns out, that's the foundation for a limit-free life. Each week on Money and You, I speak with amazing guests about all things money, mindset, practical tips, and everything in between. We're here to give you new insights, education, and empowerment so money can be one of your favorite relationships. So join us for some lively conversations, and let's transform your financial life together. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Money and You Show. And I just want to start this episode by saying goodbye to this lovely studio and thank Tony Sweet and the head of UBN Go for hosting so many shows, hundreds of shows, both here and in the previous location. And I've been so appreciative for Tony's guidance and help and support and everything else the whole time I've done my podcast. I started with you, Tony, however many years ago, 6 or something. Yeah. And you kept encouraging me, and you have been a fantastic podcast mentor and producer, and I just really appreciate it. You're not going away, and neither is UBN, but the space itself is moving, so you'll see me somewhere else. And but Tony will still be running everything. So, yeah. But I did want to take a minute just to let you know how much I've appreciated everything you've done for me and the beautiful space you've provided. So, anyway. And to celebrate the last show in the studio, we have an in-studio guest, and that is also very exciting and apropos for it being the last show. And our guest today is a super fantastic woman who you're going to be amazed by. She just has done so many things that I can't even, tell you right now. We're going to read her bio. We're going to talk to her, and you're going to see how just full of ideas and, everything. She's done it all. So we're going to bring her on in just a minute, and you are going to love this show. I'm very excited that this is, I'm able to bring her to you. So let me tell you a little about our guest today. So from Wall Street strategist to transformational wealth coach, Monica teaches founders how to build powerful businesses and rich lives. Trusted by entrepreneurs, advisors, and visionaries, Monica Garcia Duggal is a financial strategist, best-selling author, and upcoming TEDx speaker with over 30 years of experience helping high-achieving entrepreneurs turn money into momentum and build wealth without burnout. She's the creator of the financial B.I.T.E.S method, a practical 5-step system for mastering business budgeting, investing, taxes, exit strategy, and SOPs. And she is so much more than what I just read, but we'll let her tell us right here, right now. So Monica, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hi, welcome. I'm so happy to be here. I feel very welcome. That's what I meant.
Well, we spoke on the phone, and you were so fascinating, and I just and you're local, so you were able to come in. It's still a drive, still an effort. I really appreciate it. Yeah. And so there's a lot to talk about. So I think we should just get started. And
sure.
Why don't you tell us a little about your background and how you've progressed to the point that you're at.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I actually I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been doing entrepreneurship since I was pretty much born because my mom was an entrepreneur and all of her friends were entrepreneurs. So I thought, well, that's what people do. They start businesses. Like, that's all she would talk about. And it was really funny because she would teach me so much about, like, businesses and customer service and marketing and just even interest rates and investing, which I thought was, I would listen to her, but I was like, what's the point of all of this? You're a little kid. But anyway, what ended up happening is I wanted to go to law school. And so I went to UC Berkeley and I did English and rhetoric. And then I ended up in investment banking because my staffing agency said, oh, just go and try it out. And I did. And when I went in, I just fell in love with it. There was so much going on in the sales desk. And it was just absolutely amazing. And it was interesting because everything she had taught me that I didn't really understand, it just all kind of made sense.
Your mom's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and that was so bizarre. So I said, forget about law school. I want to get my MBA. And then I just started doing finance. So 30 years of studying finance. Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
And so how did you start? You started with investment banking and did you stay there for a while?
Yeah. So, I studied in investment banking, but then I wanted to get I wanted to get more, like a more vast background. So I also went into like institutional investing, and I also went into with like financial advisors.
Okay.
With mutual funds, and it was great. I really liked that because it kind of gave me. Like, the investment banking was exciting, right? We're bringing companies public, and it was during the dot-com era. So you can imagine how exciting that was. And then going to institutional investing, that was really great because it was all about risk management. So 5% is all you want to earn on there. So you don't want to go any higher and you don't want to go any lower. So it's just almost like you're watching this line. So if it goes up, okay, we better bring it down. If it goes down, we got to get it up.
Interesting.
And so doing a 5%, actually, you get the 3% for inflation, and then you get 2% over that. So your dollar doesn't just, beat inflation, but it makes a little bit of money.
Right.
So
okay.
usually really like pension funds, all the university endowments, they all do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, and then when I did the mutual funds, that one wasn't as exciting at all, but I did love it because I did sales there, and they brought somebody in from like New York to San Francisco, and that was really cool because we learned some top-notch sales, like guerrilla marketing.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And it's funny because you can use that stuff never goes away.
Yeah. It reminded me of the guerrilla marketing book I bought when I started my business that I have yet to read. I need to go back and read it 15 years later.
Yeah, so basically it's just your basic. You have to be in front of people, and at first they have no idea who you are. Next time, maybe by the fifth time, like, well, I kind of know that person. Maybe by I think now somebody said 22 times, because it used to be 7 times you have to be in front of somebody.
I heard 11 to 13, but that's probably a few years ago now, so it's gotten worse.
Well, so then by the time you've been in front of them for 22 times, they're like, oh yeah, of course I know that person.
It's funny. That's a great point, because they don't know you, but they think they know you by that
because they've
point.
seen you so many times.
Yeah.
It's like you become a landmark or something.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So where did you go from there?
So then I did that, and then I went into then I got married, or I was going to get married, and then I went into real estate, and I started in working with also for like retirement accounts. So people that already had a property, I was helping them buy other properties for their portfolios. So right then, if they had a renter, at some point, the 3% rule, right? The inflation, you can't buy any more land. So even if the building doesn't go up in value, the land will still have it. So, in essence, real estate goes up. Obviously, it depends where you're at, because I've seen some areas where it hasn't really gone up. But if you can buy in the right area. So then I did that. That was a lot of fun. I really, really liked that. And then after that, we moved from Northern California to Seattle to start a business. And so
Okay.
then we did that. And so we were there for 16 years. We pretty much raised our kids. And then we sold the company, and then we moved to LA.
Okay.
Warm. We wanted something warm. Yeah.
So the company that you built, you obviously built it up enough and scaled it so that you could sell it.
Right.
What did you learn in that process?
Yeah, definitely. So we learned. So it was a digital marketing company.
Oh.
We had some business partners in that. And so I don't know. We just built it, and then I know we tried to sell it at one point, but this is a problem that a lot of companies have, is that the founders are so integral to the day-to-day that you can't sell it. And so basically we did a rebranding, and we also got it ready. So then now there were the systems. And so then you could leave, and if you left, the company would still work, which means now you can actually sell it, because if you're not there, then somebody else can just run it. And so
Such an important thing for
Yeah.
entrepreneurs to know, that if they attach themselves too much to the success of the business, then they're needed. Then what is there to sell? I mean,
yeah, that's a great point. But I think with anything, I think the more important question is, what do you want to do with it, right? If you want to keep it and you really just want to work it until the end, then that's not a problem.
Right.
But if you do want to exit and you do want to sell it, then, or if you want to keep it, but you want to go on vacation,
Yeah.
you probably need some systems, because then you're not going to make any money when you leave.
So you kind of learned about the systems piece
Yes,
the hard
definitely.
way a little bit. I mean, did you, or was it obvious to you?
Yeah, it was not a big deal, because we were making such good money, and we were growing it, and it was fun. We had great teams and stuff. So a lot of the people that started with us stood with us throughout, so their families, and so it's more like a community. So it was really, really, really nice that way. And then our kids were young, so we weren't really interested in like selling right away. But then I think at some point we were ready. Like all the partners wanted to sell as well. So then when that happened, then we were just ready to move on.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was cool. And I had gone to a venture capital class at UC Berkeley, because I do executive classes.
Okay.
And I just remembered they had institutional investors there. They had people that actually had sold their businesses there. And then they had entrepreneurs, just other entrepreneurs there as well, which I was one of those. But it was interesting to listen to the people that had sold their companies. And the reason that it was so interesting was because you learned about the negotiations. Let's say you're trying to sell your company, right? And so I'm just taking you, and then after a while, I'm a buyer, and I'm like, well, I don't know, we're now at this price. And sometimes you already sold it, right? Like you mentally already sold the company because you have the buyer.
Okay.
And so they can put you in a really precarious situation where they can actually lower even the price. And that's what happened to somebody that was in that class with us. And he was just so tired. He's like, just take it. And I was like, so when we sold our company, I remembered that, and I was like, you know what? We may not sell. We will walk if this starts going under, right? Like we're going to take that. So let's understand that we're excited to sell, but if they're going to like just start going lower, that's it. We're just going to continue to grow it.
Yeah. That's so interesting, because we kind of went through something like that this year, and we had a price. We didn't even want to sell it, but a buyer came to us, and it's kind of a nice position to be in, because you could. It wasn't really even at that point about what would the business appraise for. It was like, this is the amount that we would take to sell it, because we're not even interested in selling it.
Right.
But the negotiations still went on for a long time, and even if the price doesn't get lowered, which did a little, there's negotiations in how it's funded, and any additional little things. He talked us into some working capital for a while, and there were other things that factored.
No, exactly, and I think that there is part of the negotiation, right? And there's so many ways to do it, right? Like there is so many ways. I was just reading a book or listening to a podcast, but it was interesting because you can change things. So it's really important to really be able to see the whole thing, because sometimes you think that you're doing really well and then there's all this other stuff and it doesn't show so well, or so it just depends like on who you're negotiating with, and then just being very clear on when the terms do change, like what does that mean to you and your bottom line in terms of what you're going to be able to take out.
Yeah, and why digital marketing? Was that something?
My husband was into computers, and then our some of the other business partners were into the computers, and then my husband had been working a lot with like Microsoft and some of the other partners also deep. Right. So it was just the experience, and then having some of the bigger clients, because then we had like Microsoft, Google. Okay. We had a lot of the really big clients, and so they needed they work with a lot of digital marketing companies, a lot, because they're so big. So, there's like room for a lot of people to work with them. Okay.
Interesting. And so you sold the company, and then you moved here, but you've done I don't know if you were doing some of your writing, and you're an author and a speaker.
So basically, I was doing also like consulting to entrepreneurs, and then we actually have a portfolio. That's the way we work in our family office, and so we don't just do like one job, right? So we'll be doing the real estate, because we've had so many properties, right? So we do the real estate, and then we do we started like doing investing as well. And
for other people, or for yourself?
No. It's just everything we do is pretty much just so we grow our own financial platform. Got it. Yeah, pretty much that's it. Okay. Yeah, but I think you get to a certain point where you can now, right, start offering services to other people that want to be able to,
Well, you've done so many things. I love the career path. It's so, I'm fascinated by that anyway, so I think it's really interesting. But let's talk a little bit about your relationship with money, because one of the things that struck me was how great your relationship actually is. Usually on this show we're talking about people's problems with their money relationship, and so
I'm like you. I'm on the same kind of trajectory. I believe that personal finance should be taught in schools, and I have a really big problem with all the narrative around money. Big problem. Because I just feel like it's really controlling, and I think that it's BS. Like I literally can say that. Like it's BS.
Like what's an example of that you're thinking?
I was listening to one of the you were working with, you were talking to this other person, and she writes children's books to try to help them. Yeah. And I was listening to the conversation, and so some of the things that like even though you're on this mission to help, like there's still some taboos there, right? And I could hear them, like obviously, and it's normal. It's normal. It's like we want to get ahead of it. We want to help people, but yet there's a whole bunch of stuff. So what I do is I just neutralize it all. Like really money, like a long time ago, you gave me milk and I gave you eggs. You right? And that's what we did. Yeah. That's how we did. And that's all money is. It's neutral. Yeah. Right? But we put all of this like, oh, it's this or it's this or it's this. At some point, like, obviously there are some really awful players out there. Like, that's real. Like, that's real. But for the most part, most people are just trying to like figure their stuff out. Most people are just trying to like do the best that they can, right? They're trying to get their kids through school. They're trying to have a nice relationship. They're trying to like enjoy themselves. And that's the stuff that we miss when we're talking about all this crap and all this BS.
Yeah.
So I'm starting a talk show, and I will have you on my talk show.
Thank you.
But my first episode will be about that. I think of money like your hygiene, like literally like that. Oh, don't take care of your teeth. Oh, don't take care of your eyesight. Oh, right? Like, seriously, you need money to go to the dentist. You need money to go buy food. You need money to pay your rent or your mortgage. So why are you having a problem with money? Like, that you can't talk about it?
Yeah.
Or greedy?
Yeah.
Like, that stuff pisses me off so much. Like, literally, it pisses me off. It's like, if somebody's telling you not to take care of yourself, don't you think that's a little bit of a problem there?
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
It's true. It's almost a form of sabotage.
Oh, it's control.
Yeah.
It's BS. It is it's complete BS. Like, for somebody to tell you, no, don't go to the dentist. Don't go take care of your teeth. No, don't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
No, don't like go buy food or pay your rent. Like, that's basically when they're talking about greed and all this BS.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't even talk about it. And there's even like, I mean, I don't want to get...
It's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I want to be careful, and I also want to be respectful, right? Yeah. Because people really do think that they're doing things because it's the right thing, like really in their hearts. Because I really think people would do better if they knew better. Like, I literally, like, I think like 99.9% of the population would, like, really, because we all care about the same things. We all want the same things, right? We're humans. And the other part of it is, like, it doesn't matter if you're the richest or the poorest or whatever. The reality of it is, if you're alive, if you're breathing, you came into this world breathing, right? And your last breath, and then you're out. But guess what? As you're breathing here in this world, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have problems. Things are going to come up, because that's part of being alive.
Yeah.
So why can't we, like, try to make the best and try to enjoy ourselves the best as we're here?
So what you're kind of referring to is that sense of guilt or shame or whatever about even wanting money, right?
That doesn't even make sense to me. That just like that's like, who said that?
Well,
who started that?
I know. Some
Why
of it's religious, I think.
No, but that's the point. I'm not going to go into that, but come on, really, if you're religious and you're telling your people, do not go get your teeth, go to the dentist, do not pay your rent, do not do your, like, seriously, let's think about that.
Yeah.
Let's not even, whoever is telling you that, that it is not the right thing for you to take care of yourself, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That is a problem. And so that's the basic as anything, any need that you have, right?
Right.
And so the other problem with that is that then, like, I mean, even if you're doing, like I said, everybody, whether you're the richest or the poorest, we're always trying to do our best. And so if we're kind of oscillating back and forth, like, oh my gosh, this indecision. It takes your time, it takes your energy, and it takes your money.
Yeah.
So even if you already didn't have money, like, how much worse are you going to be, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't even make the decision that you need to take care of your stuff. And the other part of it, it's not that complicated.
Well, that's a huge one, and that one I blame the financial industry for trying to make it seem complicated.
But why?
I mean, the blaming doesn't help anything.
So I think we get rid of the blame and we just say, hey, look, what do you want? Why don't you think about what you want? Because guess what? This guy here, he wants a beach house. This other guy, he just wants a little, like, place out in the wilderness. And they're both going to be completely fine, and they're both going to be rich in their own lives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to go ask your neighbor, or I said the governor, or the president, or your sister, or your mother, or your brother. Like, you don't have to ask anybody. Like, nobody's going to be able to make you happy. You're the one that has to do that self-reflection. You're the one that's going to have those conversations with yourself.
That's hugely important, because I do think people get caught up in the, to enjoy my wealth or whatever, to show that I'm a success. I've got to have this car and this house.
But think about what you're saying right now, right? If you do that for the external validation, think about it. are you really happy?
No, I mean, that's the point.
So then we have to go to the basic. If you do that, because that's really going to make you happy, then guess what? When you get that, you're going to be happy. Right. So we just have to reframe everything like, slow down. If you want it, you don't have to explain it to anyone. You don't have to do anything for anyone. Just do that for you, right? And if people are supporting you, because this is you thought about it, this is your decision, then you need to keep those people in your life. And if they're trying to like not support you, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I know.
Because people that are happy, people that are like, okay, I worked on this is my goal, and this is what I want to do, and you're completely clear, you have that clarity, and you can move forward, and you're happy because even though life's challenging, right? So you deal with the challenges as best as you can, and then you move on. So if you can do that, you're going to be happier, because at every point you're going to try to make yourself happy because you're actually doing what you want. Yeah. So the challenge is it's going to be easier to get back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say, because there's that piece where people don't feel right about money, and then there's also people who just don't think it can happen for them.
But that's because they haven't had that conversation. They haven't had. If you read my book,
the book.
Actually, that one, you guys, it's really, really funny.
You brought me this great gift, which is The Power of Breath, the gift of self-actualization through meditation, which is right up my alley. So
yeah, but the whole book is about unconditional self-love. That's it. So you never, ever, ever leave yourself, ever. For no reason. You're always supporting yourself, always supporting yourself. There's no reason that you ever leave yourself. So if it doesn't feel right, then you have to figure out what you need, and you really have to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
but that's the whole book is about that, is for you to go in and say, what do I need? What do I need? Because a lot of us, we've never even had that chance, right?
No.
Like when I started at UC Berkeley, I remember, oh my God, I was like, first of all, I didn't want to go to Berkeley because I went and I looked at I'm like, how am I going to study here? You know, there's so much going on. But then I did go there. But I remember one class that I went to, it was amazing. Actually, and that's how I started the book too, or breathing, because I was getting migraine headaches at Berkeley. It was so hard. I was like, no, but I'm going to finish this program. But anyway, so I went into this one class, and the instructor was like, okay, what do you think? Like, okay, well, why do you think that, right? And so all of us, you know, these college students were like, what? What are you talking about? Because of my mom and because of my dad, and that's my culture, or but why, right? And so everybody, and people were actually crying in the class, and I was like, oh my God, I knew I shouldn't have come here. It was like, this is so much. No, but it was like the best. It was transformational. It was amazing, amazing program in school.
Wow.
But that was it then, right? Like, because that's what we go through life, and we never ask, well, why do I think of that? Is that really my thought?
Yeah.
Right? And so when you're asking that question, then that's just because you haven't really given yourself the space. And sometimes, you know, we just really have to go out and we have to look for people that give us that opportunity and allow us to ask these questions. And so, for example, your show, right? This helps people because it's helping people say, yeah, my money, I get to talk about it now. Or I get to listen, even, you know, if I have to do it hiding because we're not supposed to be talking about money, right? But then it starts giving those seeds that, hey, you know what? You're not wrong for caring about this very important subject.
And once you get that kind of into your head, you can't really get it out again. I mean, you start just traveling down that path.
Exactly, right. Yeah. But that's it. But that's it too, because then that is you deciding that, right? And so you start changing the neurons. I'm not sure if you guys talked about, like, you start changing the neurons or the habits, right?
Right.
Anthony Robbins talks about this. Like, I remember I graduated from my EMBA, and I went on a really long trip to Europe my husband did an amazing job. I always tell him, if you're not going to work anymore, you can be a
Travel planner.
Travel planner, exactly. It was amazing. But I just remembered I was walking around Prague and I'm reading Anthony Robbins' book.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and then I just remember it was something about like a record player, and the same thing
the
goes
grooves in the
loop
record.
and loop and and then he's like, just get something and scratch that record and throw it out.
Yeah.
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 But
I love that
think,
analogy. The grooves in the record, you have to, that becomes just an automatic.
Well, yeah,
just
they're
like
the
you're
habits,
thinking.
the neurons, right, in your brain,
Yeah.
and they just boop, 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 and you have to interrupt them. You
That's
really
right.
have to, and it's not easy.
It's not. It takes
because you
a
don't
lot
even
of
know they're
work.
playing.
Yeah, and honestly, meditation is one of the fastest paths to that. But thinking about what you want, like you're saying, you have to get very clear on what you want, which I personally think is difficult.
Yeah.
We haven't, like you said, we haven't spent enough time thinking about what we want, and when we go there, we get tripped up. We're like, oh, well, I shouldn't want that. That's too much. Or,
See, that is a problem. Oh, coaches. Work with coaches, because I know there's therapists, but work with coaches. Coaches will save you like for a whole year, and you do coaching too. You'll get stuff done in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Because they make you do the work.
Right.
But it's transformational. I mean, they save you time, energy, and money. I'm all about always saving time, energy, and money.
I know, and I love that because I consider those 3 forms of currency. They all work the same.
And they're great. They make your dreams come true. How about that?
True.
They make your dreams come true.
And you can't separate them, really.
No.
I mean, if you're, I don't know, the way that you might mess up with money, for example, if you're always giving money away to the brother that can't get the job and he's on your couch and you're giving him money and you're giving him a place to stay, and you're also giving your time and energy.
But aren't you enabling him?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are people who are less inclined to help out and more inclined.
I am. And this is where it gets fuzzy for me because I think that if people could really just do what they need to do and they could feel like they do want to work and stuff, because I think people are happier that way. But I think sometimes, like the money, right? Oh my God, I tried to do this and that was shameful, or whatever the thing is, and then we just don't end up doing anything. Then that's I think that's harder, because I think everybody would like to participate. I think everybody would like to do something, whatever they're good at.
Right.
Everybody has a gift, for sure.
Everybody has a gift. I couldn't agree more. Or multiple gifts. And everybody, that's how I started my company, Limit Free Life, because I wanted to help people to use those gifts to find work they love. And then I realized that the money piece is either depending on where you're at, helping or hurting that process. And if people don't understand money at all, and just keep making money mistakes or having money stress, it's very hard to go do what you love and use your talents, because you're kind of consumed by, your money problems. People.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so for me, and that, like, for example, once I decided I loved finance, I just started learning about it. And that's what I try to tell a lot of people. It's like, just start learning about it. Yeah. Start listening to podcasts. Start reading books. Even if it's, excuse me, even if it's in the background. But that will start your neurons, and that will start getting you to pay attention to these very important things.
I know, and whatever you focus on kind of grows. And so if you start learning about money, even at whatever level, however much, that's where your focus is going, and it starts to kind of grow your interest in it, your education in it.
Yeah.
And I think that helps with your mindset, because I think part of the mindset and your relationship with money can't be very good if you just don't understand it. If you know, so part of it's just getting to know money, whether it's your money or the world of money.
I love that you're saying that. And actually, my book is kind of like meditation for the rest of us, because before I thought meditation like, oh my gosh, I have to go find a creek, or I have to go find this beautiful tree, or I would go to yoga classes and then I'd be so upset, like, oh my God, they didn't do the breathing part. Like, what a waste of my time, right? And really, at the end of the day, it's just breathing. Yeah. It's just breathing. So what you're saying right now, it's like, you just have to start gently sprinkling a little bit of subject matter there with money.
Yeah. Because that's another place
really
I think people get paralyzed, because there's so much information out there. My gosh, you could lose your mind.
God, yes.
So
that's
true. Different people to listen to with different opinions. It's one of those things, how do you sift through and know what's right?
Yeah.
But to your earlier point, I think you know what's right because you feel it.
Oh my gosh. And that's where the meditation comes in.
Yeah.
That's where the meditation comes in, because if you give yourself the downtime, then you can actually listen to that. And you're right, everybody, anything you need to do in this world, you already have all the answers. Like the best coaches, the best therapists, the best anyone will always say, you got it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that reminds me. I was in a 9-year relationship, and then it didn't work out, and it was so hard. And my mom's like, come back home, and I'm like, I don't want to go back. I was in my investment banking company, and I had my own place, and I had everything, and I'm like, why would I go back? And so my mom's religious. She's Catholic. So she's like, well, you got to go talk to a priest at least if you're not going to come back. So I'm like, okay, whatever. That'll make me feel better. So I go, and I didn't even go to church. But I just waited for the priest, and everybody left. And then I came, and I said to him, I said, my mom wants me to come talk to you because I'm going through some hard stuff. And he's like, okay. First of all, don't listen to your mom.
Oh my gosh.
Second of all, you have all the answers. Wow. So she was right. She was right.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that he said that.
I have all the answers.
Yeah.
So she was right?
Yeah.
So rather than me trying to think like, oh my gosh, somebody's going to save me, it's like, you figure it out.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, and I think we're so trained to figure it out logically that we forget to, hear our intuitive voice and all of that stuff. And it's all hard. It's not.
Yeah.
You have to, and the breathing, the meditation, that does teach you how to, hear that inner voice, because you got the quiet and we do have the answers, but they get locked up in there if we don't find.
But I think you're right with the meditation. I'll tell you what. I am. I'm really successful because I don't mess around with if somebody's successful, just do that. Why are you going to go reinvent the wheel? Seriously, right? And
you mean
I'll
copy that person, or what do you think?
No. For example, I learned that most successful people meditate.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm like, well, I'm going to write a book on it because I got to remember to meditate. And I literally, it reminds me to meditate.
Yeah.
Because seriously, those are the things. I have 7 coaches. Well, probably, I don't know how many. But Oprah Winfrey had 7 coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have multiple coaches too, and I love my coaches.
Oh, no, I'm so talented. And I'm so successful. Because think about it. If I get a coach, I get 30 years of experience.
I know.
And the top stuff, and I get to leverage them.
I know.
So can you imagine how much wealth I have? Each coach that I worked with, they just have to give me one nugget, amazing, something that that was their aha moment, and now I have it.
I know.
That's the beauty of working with coaches.
And, people who don't...
So now everybody's going to go work with the coach. Good for you. We're going to be so successful
It would be
together.
a very smart thing, and all my coaches have coaches. But I do have people in the coaching space, too, who are like, oh, why are you still with that coach? You're getting the ROI. That's always the question. Are you sure?
You need it.
You need it. And that ROI... it comes in so many different forms, even if it's not a direct correlation with income.
Well, let's be careful with correlation and this and that. I just went to a Chicago booth class, CFO class, and this was the second time I went, and I went with my husband. And so I do these Chicago booth. They have some amazing executive classes. So I went there. And it was the best thing because my husband is correlations, logic. Blah, blah. And it was amazing because during the marketing part, they had 4 different quadrants. And on the first one, Tinkerbell. So where we're going to be logical and where's the correlation, all those scientific, it's all the way at the end. So first we have to go to Tinkerbell and we have to just throw tons of ideas out there.
Okay.
And then we start cleaning it up a little bit with the second phase and then a little bit more with the third phase. All right, these definitely are not going to work. And then finally you go to your fourth phase and that's where all the correlation, because then at that point now you're going to do your systems, right?
Yeah.
But you get some amazing stuff because if you start just down here, you've missed like a whole wealth of like ideas and stuff that could possibly, just do absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That was great. I love my husband to be there for that. Well, he's awesome. He's an operations guy. So he's really, really great. Yeah.
Well, and I love that you explained it that way because I know that I'm getting, what I need from the coaching. Can I translate it directly to dollars? Not always. Sometimes it's the support, the emotional support.
But that is dollars.
I know.
It is dollars. And I'll tell you why it's dollars, because that's real. You see, and that's where we have to be careful with the correlation, because that, whether we like it or not, your cells, your brain, your emotional health, even spiritual. I'm not religious, but at some point we all pass and we go somewhere, something happens. So that is your, that's like your wealth. Like that is your holistic wealth. And so it's like that bike, right? You have spokes, and if one of them's off, then you're kind of going around like a little bit, off.
Well, and I really love that you brought up wealth, because wealth to me is such a personal thing. Like you have to define that for yourself. Wealth is health. Wealth is relationships. It's money. It's so many things, and that's the other thing with getting that clarity on what you want. I think wealth is a much bigger picture.
Yeah, but I love that you said it's like personal, because I think with everything, it's so good for like whatever it works for you, whatever you want, just be okay with that.
Right.
Just be okay with that and do that. Right.
Yeah.
So like I said, right, the ocean front or the little cabin. Yeah. Like just do you. And I actually read that in a book a long time ago. Oh my gosh, probably like almost 30 years ago. And it was that's what the person said. She's like, you know what? Somebody could want this and somebody wants that. Like, right? FOMO, what's this fear of missing out? Like, why do you have FOMO? Like, if you had that conversation with yourself, if you're meditating and you're doing what you want, why are you going to have FOMO? But hey, maybe you want this. So guess what? Do the work. Go for that.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
I know. And I love what you're saying. When I started coaching, doing career coaching, I would get so bothered because I'd see so many people offering entrepreneurial coaching, which, I was also doing, but they would make it seem like that's the only path for anybody. Like, get out of the cubicle.
That sounds like a sales pitch to me.
It is.
It's good sales, right?
But they would
you got to be a little bit bigger than that.
You do. And for some people, a job is the right thing. They don't want to run a business.
I love that you're saying that. I love that you're saying that, because I was asked that question. I did a interview, and that was exactly what they said. They're like, well, can anybody be an entrepreneur and all of this? And the reality of it is, it's like, look, if it's in your heart and you want to do it, of course you can do it. But there's some people like, hey, you know what? I like to garden, or I like to go play softball, or I like to go hiking, right? And that's where I want to spend most of my time. So yeah, they want the 9 to 5. Hey, I don't want to worry about all of the numbers and
payroll
and the exactly. I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that, because I think that, if you want to,
right,
you can do whatever you want.
Right.
But just decide what is it you want. But I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I think the whole concept of doing what you want is really, I just resonate so much with that, whether it's, in any area, and to be good with that, to be, and that comes from knowing yourself.
Yeah. And I think you said something earlier that was so important, and that was like, sometimes you can't see that. And I think that's where I think we do get stuck, because it's kind of like, if you look at your life in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right, out in the future, and then work back, right? Yeah. But sometimes it's hard for us to do that. But I have worked with the coaches like, who cares? Who cares? Oh, because I was doing a vision board. She's like, who cares? You put everything on there. There's no censoring here. And I did that, and I came up with some amazing stuff. And it was weird because I had been working with coaches already for about 10 years. So you thought I would have handled that. But this is a new coach that I worked with, and she just added a new ingredient in there. And that's why... You never know.
That's the best example because it's not you, it's all of us. But the fact that you were like censoring yourself on a vision board, like that's how we operate. We're so like, what are the parameters?
Exactly.
What should I do? And it's like we can't even feel free when we put a vision board together. So how are we going to feel free with our investments and our money and
everything? I love that you're saying that because and I really, really like that, and I think people really like to see that. Like, wow, you're so successful. How are you? Like people think like, oh, because you're so successful, you must have it all figured out. But it's like, no, we have the same problems.
Yeah.
You and I have the same problems. We all have the same problems, right? It's almost like you just have to have the courage to try it again tomorrow, to find somebody else to work with, to try to go for whatever it is that you want.
Yeah, and some of it's perseverance and sticking with it. And some of it's knowing when to cut bait, too. It's,
Wait. When do you quit? Never. Wasn't that like somebody said that, president or something?
It's an interesting thing to say.
You're like, okay, well, you go ahead. I'm done. But I think it's personal too, right?
Yeah, it's all personal. But and we're going to run out of time, which is bumming me out right now.
Okay,
but
no worries.
One thing I wanted you to explain to the audience, because you said something really crucial, and we were talking about how much you've done and how much you've accomplished. And I myself have a distraction problem where I have ideas galore, but then I chase too many ideas.
I can tell you what exactly happened to me.
Okay.
There was a $100,000 coach that I would not pay $100,000 for at that time because it wouldn't work. So I offered him $3,000 for half an hour.
Oh my goodness.
And he gave it to me. But man, I was like writing everything. He's like, look, you have 10 businesses, 10 ideas, because that's pretty much what I had. And he's like, okay, if you can explain those 10 to like a grade schooler or a kindergartner, keep them. Go for it. Huh. And that was like the main point of that. So after that call, I said, wow, like really? I don't want to do that. So I just picked 3. And everything else. And that was such a life changer. Mm-hmm. That's why coaching is so amazing. And people get coaches. Seriously, you need to get coaches. They will like transform your life. Yeah. They will, like, that was so transformational. And I think after that, like, again, that's where we started working and, it's going amazing. But that's how you do it. That's how you do it. If you have all of those ideas, go for it. But make sure you can explain to an elementary or a kindergartner. And if you can, keep them all.
Interesting.
You're on the right track. But if you can't, or you're like, forget it, I don't want to do that, then let it go.
Well, and what about the execution piece? Because you mentioned focus early on as one of the keys.
I'll tell you what. If you do the kindergarten thing or the grade schooler thing, you're going to be pretty damn focused. And if you can do that for however many, you're going to just hit it out of the ballpark.
Okay.
Like seriously, but be honest with that. If you really want to put that much time and effort, you can do it. You can do whatever you want.
Well, and if you want to accomplish the level of things that you've done, focus is key. And I think in today's world, we have a lot of trouble with focus.
No, for sure.
Do you have a tip on that one?
I think you really just have to just decide. Do you want to hit a home run? Then put in the time and the effort. You literally can do whatever you want. Like, that's reality. But you also have to find the people around you to help you, because like the way you said, you're like emotionally like, I was all right. You need that. You need that. Because guess what? You're not going to be successful if you don't have somebody there like, hey, all right, it's hard. All right, let me help you with this. It's coaching, right? It's like if you're playing a baseball game or running an Ironman, which I do half Ironman. I just did a couple of half Ironman.
Yikes!
Did you know Gordon Ramsay does full Ironmans?
No, but
he said he has to, because that's the only way he can stay like competitive.
Really?
Yeah, otherwise he
Interesting.
will just be like...
That's
it's just-
impressive.
yeah, it is. So he's like, when he's biking like 100 miles, like he's writing recipes or whatever, he's doing something.
Wow. Well, it's
Yeah.
impressive that you just did the half.
Oh,
or-
I started 2019, so it was like a 7-year. I started with the really tiny one, and
It's great.
yeah, but that's it. But that's the point, right? Whatever you want, you just start it. Put a timeline. Put some time and effort into it. You'll figure it out. You have all the answers. You know yourself better than anybody else. And good doctors will also help you that way.
Yeah.
They will say, okay, tell me what you need. You tell me what I need.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so amazing. Your energy is fantastic, and
Oh my
your
God. It's like I
knowledge-
started doing podcasts and I get to talk about finance. I'm like, what? It was like I was running for 10 years and then I joined Team and Training to run my first marathon, and I was with a lot of people, and I'm like, what? I get to run with all these people?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
same thing.
how can people? Do you want people to get in touch with you?
Yeah.
How can-
So I have some actual stuff for personal finance if people want to.
I wanted to bring up financial bites.
Yeah. Financial bites. That's business budgeting, investing, taxes, exit strategy, and systems. If you go to www.monicagarciaduggal.com, you can actually download a free copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people can find your books. Your
On my website, at the same website, www.monicagarciaduggal.com. Yeah.
Okay. And can they access your TED Talk there too?
Oh yeah. So I'm in 3 to 5 months. I'm doing my TEDx. And
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's okay. But I want people to know. So the title will be "Breathwork Makes You Wealthy."
That's so.
Isn't that what we were just talking about right now? Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, I look forward to that. That's great. All right. Well, Monica, thank you.
Thank you so
for
much. This was-
gracing us with your presence. This
Well,
is
I love what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I love what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, people are trying to help other people with something that's so important.
Well, and you're such a good example, too, of the relationship with money. And I don't feel like it's because you've reached some pinnacle point. I feel like it's the relationship with money you had that took you on this, helped you, assisted
Right.
you on this journey.
Right,
So I think that's
right.
what people should take away is it's not, your relationship with money doesn't magically transform because you make a lot of money or because you get to be, it's fun when you
Yeah.
reach that point.
Yeah.
But you have to have that good relationship with money to get to that point.
Right. Exactly.
So, well,
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you
Really,
so
really
much.
appreciate it.
I loved having you, and
We'll have to do it again. You'll have to come on my talk show.
that would be amazing. I
Yeah.
love that. So, thank you, audience, for listening to the Money and You Show. We love it when you listen. We would love it also if you would rate and review the show. That would help us greatly to have incredible guests like Monica on the show. And thank you so much for being here. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you'll share it with your friends and family if you think that they could help them. That's always kind of a gift for other people. And you can reach me at Michelle@limitfreelife.com, and please sign up for my blog at limitfreelife.com. So thank you so much. We'll see you next week.